Hey, Friendship Three Strands, welcome back. We are wrapping up 1 John chapter 2 today, and so grab your Bibles. We're going to read with me today. We're in chapter 2, verses 28 and 29 as the two verses that we're going to cover. So here we go. And now, little children, abide in me, so that when he appears, we may have confidence and not shrink from him in shame at his coming. If you know that he is righteous, you may be sure that everyone who practices righteousness has been born of him. So, what John is trying to tell us here is that this last previous section, he talked about picking your side, right? We talked about dodgeballs and puppy commands last week, right? So he's talking about picking your side. Are you going to be on Team Jesus or are you going to be on Team Antichrist? Which side are you going to pick? And whichever side you pick, you need to stay there. You need to abide. And so he starts off again by reminding us, little children, abide in him. You want to stay with Jesus. Stay put and continue with Jesus. Why? Why should we do that? Well, because what he says is that when he appears. Now, we're gonna talk a lot more this week at youth group about Jesus appearing, what that's going to look like, what the day is going to be. So come to youth group. We're going to dig much deeper into that topic. But for now, when he comes back, you want to abide. You want to stay rooted in him, with him, because when he comes back, you don't want to be full of shame and hiding away from him when he comes back. You want to have confidence. You want to be full on ready for him to come back any moment and full of confidence. That's where you want to be. And so it reminds me though. Have you ever been caught red-handed doing something? You know, like doing your sin, doing something you maybe shouldn't be doing, and all of a sudden you got caught, right? Something happened. Maybe mom and dad walked in and saw you doing something you shouldn't be doing. This happened to me several times as a kid, but it's more recently I've been through this with my kids, where I've walked in and my kid is swinging something or beating on something, and then all of a sudden I walk in and it's like mid-swing and he just freezes and he's like, nothing to see here, nothing to see, and he's just slowly backing away, right? Got caught doing something, and instead of in that moment, instead of running and embracing dad because he's here, it's, man, I got caught doing something I shouldn't be doing. And you kind of back away, you kind of cower away. That's what he's talking about here. When he's talking about this, you want to abide in Jesus, abide in him, because when he appears, you want to have confidence, not shrinking away in shame. Don't do that. Don't be there. Live your life in him, abiding in him, continuing, staying with him, so that if he appears today, if he appears in an hour, if he appears next week, that you are living for him, not against him. Does that make sense? You want to have confidence in him and be eagerly waiting and anticipating his arrival. And so that when he does come, if he comes next week, you are found following him, not found in sin away from him. Okay? It's kind of like when your parents come home when you were little kids. This happened to me. Happens to me whenever I come home from a trip. Sometimes my kids just run and jump in my arms. They're embracing me. They're so happy that I'm home. That's like what we want to be when Jesus comes back. We want to have full confidence of his appearing. That when he comes, we are so excited because he's back. Okay, not be like, oh crap, he's back, and slowly back away. You didn't see anything, Jesus. Nothing to see here, right? You don't want to live that way. And so he says, abide, stay with Jesus, stay the course, be on that team, and hang in there. Continue doing what you're doing in him, because it's worth it. If he comes back, you want to have full confidence, not shame. So that's what he says. And then he goes on in verse 29, if you know that he is righteous, you may be sure that everyone who practices righteousness has been born of him. We're gonna talk a little bit more about this at youth group, but Jesus is the only one who is righteous. Being righteous means that you do the right thing. And Jesus is called the righteous one because he's the only one who has lived a whole life doing the right thing. He's never sinned. He never messed up. We are all sinners. So we can't be called the righteous one. Only Jesus is. And it's through his righteousness that we are made righteous. It's only through him that we are made righteous. And so he says here, if you abide in him and if you continue in righteousness, you know that you're born of him. You're living like him. Not that you're perfect, but that you have progress and that you're moving toward him. Okay? So here's 2 questions for your small groups today. Okay? Question number 1, have you ever been caught red-handed doing something you shouldn't be doing? I think we all have at least one story about that. So share that with your group. And then the second question for your group is this. What area of your faith is, or do you need help with in your small group? What area of your faith do you want your small group to help you live more righteously? Okay? We all want to live that righteous life. And it's a lot easier if we have other people around us that support us and encourage us and help us to do that. So what area of your faith do you want your small group to help you live more righteous? All right. I'll see you guys real soon at youth group on Wednesday. Have a good week.